that I didn't take off. All right, so today I'm drawing a pear bowl, or a bowl of pears. So kind of oblong shape. That's good enough. And we've got it over there. Yeah, so to start, I'm just gonna get general shapes, I think. Really, I should be doing a little thumbnail photo first. And then this is kind of a bit more of like a cone. That's good enough. I think I should have made this bigger. Stem. Yeah, so for this step, I'm really just getting my elements on the page, kind of figuring out the alignment. Like I said, I should have probably drawn like a little square at the bottom. And then, okay, one pair goes here, one goes here, one goes here. And then kind of figured out my composition on a small scale. And the bowl be like that, but some of it's out of the frame. Then you got the shadow here, shadow here. A bit of shadow here. And then this is all shadow. So that's going to be kind of the general idea. And I think that works pretty good. And a bit of shadow on that. But yeah. Anyway, that's the basic idea. And you can barely even see it on the video. Oops. But yeah, so we'll just crack on. So like I said, we've got my little cheat sheet here. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, so I've got my general lay-in in. And I think that's enough for me to start working off of. So now I'm going to go through and define whatever edges I see. So this one, the shadow of the bowl, the rim of the bowl's, it's a curved, the tip of the bowl or the rim of the bowl is curved, so that's going to be a softer edge, which I'll try to establish like that. So that's going to be all shadow in there. Then we've got our pear. So I'll try to draw this a little bit better. So like I said, just defining edges. So this edge here on the side of this pear kind of looks a little lost. I've got a hard edge from the shadow. It reaches up. Sort of like that. It's going to mirror. So we got a soft shadow here. I'll draw that. Bit of reflected light at the bottom. A soft edge here. And we've got a lot of reflected light, so I'm going to go around that. A very light shape going around the base of the pear. Come up and around. And it travels up a little bit. Darker up here. We've got a very skinny shadow on the side of the stem. So that's enough for that pear, I think. So we've got this will be the dark shadow. We've got the hard edge of the umbra. I don't know if that's the right term. Yeah, so we've got the hard edge of the cast shadow. This part is in shadow, but it's rounding, so it's very soft, very soft gradient going into the darkest part, which is probably right in here. Bit of reflected light, so I left that out for now. I'll just work around that when I get into the more detailed layers. Okay, so let's go to our next shadow. We've got this pear casting a shadow this way as well. It's going to be starker up here. I kind of missed that one. And then as it extends away from the pear, softens up a fair bit. So we'll make it something like that, maybe. And then this is all, might be an opportune time to make this kind of a lost shadow, or a lost edge, I should say. We've got a hard edge here because we've got the light side of the pear against the dark cast shadow, so we'll make that a nice hard shadow. This edge of the bowl against the pear. There's really not much going on, so we'll keep that light. Okay, so cast shadow. Let's start working on the interior of this pear, so to speak. So it looks like nice light shadow coming down and across. Got a bit of a dark, harder edge up at the top. And dark shadow here. We've got a hard edge here, but it's rather light. So I'm going to just kind of put that in. Yeah. Whatever. Leave that for now. Okay, so we've got our dark shadow here. Now this is a harder shadow because it's coming off the stem, which I didn't draw. Of this pear. So put that in as a placeholder. We've got a little bit of light peeking at the bottom to kind of give our edge. Then we've got a cast shadow from the bottom. Very hard edge right here. And now we've got two cast shadows kind of intersecting, or we've got the... God, I'm trying to remember the term. Whatever. The shadow on the sphere. The rounding shadow, whatever you want to call it. Anyway. So, keep this edge soft for now. Then we've got the cast shadow coming off, so hard edge. Slightly less hard for the stem. Across here, even softer on the other side. And then it whips across. Okay, another cast shadow. We've got our little dark spot in there. Now our hard edge is going to start about here. Walk along the pear. Softens a bit. And then gets dark again. And that line. Come across. Soften. Alright, so now we've got the interior of our last pear to map out. So soft shadow here. Then you've got the reflected light coming up like that. And then our shadow kind of following that shape. Up. Kind of divides it in the middle. We've got a harder shadow there. Okay. This pear kind of goes out of frame, creating a line. So we get a nice line all the way across here. There. And then same thing at the bottom, we've got a nice hard edge. Gets a little softer in here. Soften that up a bit, push. There. So we got kind of a design in the bowl that we can echo here. and then a gradient. Okay, so it's hard to tell what it is right now, but we've got a general layout of our shadows, just like that. Only took a couple minutes. This will all be shadow. Put a dark, it's gonna be a dark shadow up there. This is all dark mid-tone, darkish midtones. It's got a very soft transition, so we'll just do that. So we got our hard edge, much softer edge up here for the background shadow. This is all in light, all in light. You can kind of describe the curve of the bowl like that. Doesn't need a whole lot to make it believable that it's a bowl. Bit of a darker shadow around the rim to anchor it. And all right. So this is the trick, the step I find tricky is I want to jump in the shadows immediately, but with this method it says to describe or to define the midtones, block in the midtones, which can be tricky with charcoal, but I'll do my best. So if we're keying in this, our darkest spot would be down here. And that's about as dark as my charcoal goes. The lightest spot is going to be highlights, which we've got a highlight here, 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 and here. So I guess the way I could do this is, as long as I don't touch those spots, then I should be good. But I'm going to do, when I look at this, the midtones that I see that are the most obvious are these shadows. The ones that wrap the pear. So if you think of like a sphere, kind of like that C shape. And I see a lot of C shapes in this particular composition, so maybe I'll kind of play with that a bit. But anyway, so we'll start up here, why not? So I'm just gonna try to lay in some tone. I guess when I'm doing this part, what do I want to be mindful of? Probably the reflected light is something I'd like to be mindful of. On this particular shape, I think the reflected light is more behind the pear, so there's really actually not much to worry about other than, I'm just gonna fix this shape a little bit. Other than there's one spot up here, so I'll just leave that alone. Reflected light up here, a little bit. Yeah. For now, I think it's more about just putting in placeholders for yourself. So I'm just gonna put in an easy little mid-tone. Maybe a little bit more up there. I don't want to spend too much time on it because we've got lots of stuff to do. So, and now we've got, I think, done. Just gonna open that up a little bit there. Okay, so slightly darker shadow in the stem. kind of goes, there's a bit of a gradient from the bottom of the pear up as the light sort of bounces off it. So we'll keep it like that for now. Alright, so I'm just continuing to put in these midtones. Bit at the top. The stem goes dark to light in kind of a dramatic way. Bit of a missed a couple edges at the bottom here. Anyway, back to blocking in midtones. Try to stay on task with what I'm doing here. So when I shade, I try to think of how my lines can conform to the form. So like this pear is basically a cylinder, kind of a wonky looking cylinder with a sphere at the bottom. So when I shade, I try to imagine like following those contour lines. You don't always, like, I mean, you don't have to do anything I'm doing, but that's just something I try to do. So this is an interesting shadow. It's like a nice C right here. Gets a little, just kind of like a wedge of darkness on the bottom. Reflected light in here, but it's not as light as this, so we are gonna cover it. So I'm just gonna put in a very simple shadow. Oh, snap. All the way around. Make this a little darker. But this is lighter than this. This value and this value are pretty close, so I'll try to just match those for now. Whereas in here, if I do that, it kind of matches that. So maybe I'll do that quickly. Like I said, this is a new kind of format of drawing for me, so it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. But that being said, it is fun to experiment and try things that you're not used to. Okay. Let's give it a little bit more of the kind of C shape I'm seeing in the shadow. Alright, that's a good placeholder for now. Make this part a little darker. Alright, the big pear. So looks like this is kind of our lightest area. So let's go ahead. Start up here. Yeah, so just continuing to block in mid values as best as I can, which is different from the way I normally draw. Like if I was gonna do my natural ways, I've got my shadows laid out. Usually I just jump right in and make those very dark. But I think the idea with this method is if you've got your layout, so in some sense like your line work, loose line work, whatever you want to call it, your edge work, the white of the paper is still the dominant value. So you've got a neutral value, or because I'm using slightly tinted paper, it's not like blinding white. So I guess you can, those mid values aren't as far of a stretch as your dark. So I think the idea is that doing the mid values first, just blocking them in, right? You get a better sense perhaps of the shape, maybe, or not going too dark with your darks right off the bat. I don't know. I don't really know the reasoning, but maybe we'll figure it out as we go along here. That's my timer to start a new video. Alright. The video's back on. So we're back in mid values. So let's just keep working away. So I gotta be careful in here. So this is where the reflected light is, and I really like that. I really like the effect reflected light gives on a drawing. So I am just gonna go over everything. But because I've already put this value in, I can kind of just go right over top. Because this little area here is darker. So I think if I just I've got this value, and then if I just cover everything, the idea is I'll darken this, darken this, darken this, and because I have the two values down already, and charcoal's somewhat additive in its nature, I'll get that nice reflected light that changes a little bit down here. Here we get a bit of a harder edge. There. Still looking very rough, but that's okay. Drawings start to come alive, I think, when the shadows are put in. Which is why I always like to jump to them first. I'm really trying to hold back from doing that. So got a darker value behind this that I'm going to use to make that edge pop. And this value is darker than that. Okay. So that's some mid values in. We've got this one here. This is on the darker side of the mid values. So we'll put that in too. It is nice having those lay-in lines for your edges. You know where you're kind of bumping up into stuff. Oh, and I forgot to put this stem in. That's good enough. Yeah, okay. That's kind of the shadow of this rim of the bowl. And now, the next step in my little list. So we blocked in the mid values. I could probably do more. So for these shadows, I think I'm just going to block them in really roughly and then kind of make them like this tone. I know they're darker than that, so I'll come back later and darken spots I think need it. There's a couple lines in this bowl here that I just want to, just for my own sake, I guess. And this is all darker than that. And I just want this to be smoothish so that it's not, there's a lot of like white patches throughout it. It'll dry your eye, and I don't really want, focal point is really this guy here. I want the eye to bounce around in here. So this outside edge, nothing really matters. So I don't want to take too much time with it. The shadow kind of ends somewhere around there. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm just going to quickly go over the shadows with like a 3/4 tone. Just be mindful of my edges. And then we'll move on to the next step. Which is redefining the edges with a bit more care and nuance. Went a little far on that part there. Alright, so same thing down here, a little lighter. So again, even though I'm doing this shadow, I'm kind of following the contours of the bowl still, like even up here, going that way, this way, just following the contours. And who knows, maybe that'll leave a nice effect when it's all said and done. Just fixing the angle on that shadow a little bit. Okay. Yeah, and you can really see once the shadows are in, it really makes things pop forward. And so again, our next step is now to define more nuanced edges, which I suppose is to kind of play with any spots like this. Like where the light of the pear meets the dark shadow of the plate. And I guess like just try to use my what would you say? My judgment to emphasize things that I find interesting. So when I look at this, I really like I like the shadow here of the pear getting cast onto the other pear. I like that shadow a lot, so I'll probably spend some more time. I see there's like a it's a little darker at the bottom, and it's kind of got this like sliver of a shadow creeping up this form here. It's just this nice S curve. So put that in, and then just kind of smooth it out a little. And then here, same thing, a little darker at the bottom. See, I think I'm mixing in the next step. Yeah, this one's, so 4 is define more nuanced shadows, 5 is create more nuanced shadows. I'm new with this, like I said. Otherwise, I think you'd be kind of doing all these at the same time, like these last 4 steps, which are define more nuanced edges, create more nuanced shadows, adjust values, darken the darks, and then texture and edge detail, which, I don't know, 4 and 7 kind of seem like the same thing. Define more nuanced edges. I guess a nuanced, what would that be? That'd be something like here, where it's, you've got a light tone, or a light mid-tone going against a mid-tone going into a slightly darker mid-tone. So maybe we'll try to figure that out a little bit more in the interior of these pears. And I guess the idea is to build off the edges we've already got. And just to make them pop a little bit more subtly. Like, I mean, I didn't add a whole lot there. There's a reflected shadow in there that I kind of want to get out. So I'll just wipe that with my finger a little bit and put the shadow back in. I wanted that little bit of lightness in there. So edges, there's just a million edges. But we want to make it readable. So I like this little shape of tone here. And that kind of stretches down a little bit. Make that pop, we gotta add a little bit of dark. So this shadow, so this is a good edge. If we make this edge a little darker, the edge of the cast shadow, because I know this is gonna be darker in the final piece. Pop that forward a little bit. And that gives me a bit more room to play, or it feels like it does, on the interior. This whole thing is probably slightly lighter. Now, this is a step I think I missed, was that this whole thing isn't a highlight. There's only a highlight maybe here, and I'll make it a bit bigger so that I can kind of blend into that. Here, here, and here, and here. So I tend to do this. So maybe that's a misstep on my part, is that before I put these shadows in, I should have gone over very lightly, like as light as I can possibly go, which is probably the hardest part with charcoal. Is just putting the slightest amount of tone on these shapes. Otherwise, you've just got one giant highlight, right? So if you just can, I guess I'm just going to try to put in like a smattering of tone, just so it's not paper, but it's very light. And that's why I put little circles that hopefully won't make it to the finished drawing. Just so I can, just as a mental, hey, don't touch this spot. This is the highlight. Be extra cautious around that area. And I guess at this stage of the drawing, maybe I could just kind of almost go over everything. I don't want to be too hasty, but it's nice when you kind of can go over the whole thing at once. And it kind of unifies. It can kind of unify the drawing. You can also, well, yeah, it kind of unifies the drawing, and then you can go and darken your darks, make certain things lighter. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, I just wanted to scratch that in a little bit. Same with all this bowl in the background. And I guess you don't really have to do this. I mean, you don't have to do anything. It's your drawing. I just want to scratch it up a little bit. This is a good reason that a lot of people will just take some of the dust that falls at the bottom of your, as you work with charcoal, it creates like a dust at the bottom. You can pick it up and just make a nice kind of base tone for your drawings, which sometimes I do. It's the same idea as staining a canvas, really. Same thing up here. This is very light up here, so we'll just add a little something. Alright, so when I lean back in my chair to look at this drawing, definitely darker shadows. Darker in here, darker in here, darker in here. But now that I've got my shadows in, I can see where my mid-tones need to be a bit darker. So definitely it's going to be a little bit, we'll put a little bit darker in here. In this core shadow, I think that's what it's called, maybe. A little bit more in the core shadow. Maybe make this reflected light a little darker. Up here. Let's go over this whole thing one more time. Yeah, this feels like a much more kind of academic way to draw, a little bit slower, more thought out, which is good though, because then you can kind of put or think about putting more stylized nuances in, I suppose. Like maybe down here, for instance, we can put, I don't know, a nice like gradient. And gradients are just nice on the eyes. They always look good. We can kind of do one of these. And you get like a nice little gradient. And you can kind of sneak those in. Like I think one would look good here from like a dark to a darkish dark gradient. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. What step was I on again? Define more nuanced edges and create more nuanced shadows. So I guess that would be a good example of a nuanced shadow. It's like, we put in our little tone, and then it's going to be a little darker in here because it's like a crevice. So, just make that like a nice little, I guess, and then the edge of this, the nuance in this edge, this cast shadow, is that it's going to be sharper over here. And then it's going to open up a little bit towards this side, where you've almost got kind of that double look at the one end. Like when shadows do that thing where they like split apart, which is kind of hard to draw. But I guess it's like a tier, so we'll do the general fade out, and then you've got kind of another soft edge inside the shadow. Like that. Which I might have made a little too dark. Oops. Oopsies. Because this whole part looks a little lighter. But anyway, I'll leave that now because I don't want to overwork it. It's already looking a little overworked, to be honest. But anyway, get that nice hard edge there. Alright. And yeah, I think we're just going to go over the whole drawing. Doing those two things. Define an edge, look at the shadow a little bit more, and just kind of bounce between those two. And we'll see how it goes. So down here, I want to make this a bit darker. This whole area is going to be a bit darker, so we'll just make it easy on ourselves, go over the whole thing. Like I said, this one, I want this all to be darker anyway. This edge, we lose up here, so we'll just shade this in. But we find the edge again down here. kind of nice wedge shape. Come across like that. This is all going to be a little darker. Another nice little wedge. Maybe made that a little bit too obtuse, but whatever. This video is already running kind of long, so I'm going to try to be quick. We just took a quick short break, so continue with my nuanced edges and nuanced shadows. So darker at the bottom here, darker up here. Oops. Now, since this pair is kind of the focal point, I'll probably just spend most of my remaining time on this area to make it look the nicest. Or more refined, I guess you could say. Yeah, buddy? What'd you do?
I peed.
You peed?
Yeah.
Yeah. You peed in your pants?
Yeah.
You gotta tell Mom when you gotta go pee, buddy.
Mom, you find pears?
Yeah, I drew some pears. You wanna come look at them? Do you like the pears?
Yeah.
Do you like eating pears?
Yeah.
Me too.
Daddy, you want that?
Do I want that?
Yeah.
No, I don't need it right now. Thank you, though.
Daddy, me pay it on.
No, Daddy's recording a video right now, so we don't want to put the lens cap on,
Why?
because then we won't be able to see the video. When did that go in front of that? Oops.
Mom, I lost those. Mom, I lost those. So stupid. Don't in lava.
Yeah, we put the brushes in the water so that the paint stays wet, so it doesn't make the brushes all hard and difficult to clean.
I use it. I use it on this. It's okay.
That's okay, you can still use that little piece.
I want.
Oh, let's keep the page down.
I want that one.
Well, let Daddy finish his drawing first, and then we can draw together, okay?
Or would you like to do a lesson with Mama?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's do. Mom, my pay.
Yep, when we're done our lesson. Let's go.
Say you need those face horses.
Yes, he needs them. When he's all done, he'll come and get you.
Yeah.
Let's go.
They're up here.
He's sleeping.
Alrighty. I think that's pretty much good. Yeah. Anyway, so that was a good attempt at trying a new method of drawing. A little bit more focused on edges than I normally would be, which is fun. It's important. You get a lot of nice, interesting features, I guess you could say, from thinking about edges a little bit more. And I think that does it for me. This is already a super long video. So thank you for watching. If you watched the whole thing, if not, no worries. Any little bit is appreciated. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye.